thanks for listening. This is Brian Hurley from Business Performance Improvement. The podcast Lean Six Sigma Bursts are short lessons, comments, Q&A, and insights. If you have a question, send your question through the Anchor app, and we might feature you on a future episode. Or contact me at biz-pi.com.
This is part 2 of the speech by Clay Jones back in 2006, where he talked about the lean journey that I was a part of at Rockwell Collins. Have a listen to this, and I'll share my comments afterwards.
Because we knew of all the different parts that were going on there, that this is the thing that could pull it all together. That we needed at first an umbrella initiative to convince a doubtful population that we could do this. And then we needed a place to start which we thought had a reasonable idea of success. And so from that time then, we began to put together this new lean philosophy. And we started with 2 fundamental requirements. The first is that we were going to do everything we could to focus on serving our customers better by bringing them more value. That the business case of serving the customer had the best chance of success, both with our workforce and obviously with our business. And the second is that we wanted to implement more than just lean activity. We did need a philosophy to change the culture, one that would allow us to promote and sustain that philosophy through the entire organization. Something that, more importantly, would not be seen by our employees as an initiative or a flavor of the month, which was breeding that cynicism. So as we were developing this philosophy, we looked at the many opportunities available to us to populate that umbrella. We looked at Six Sigma and lean manufacturing and total quality management and quick response manufacturing and all the other ones that everyone in this room knows so well. Our lean electronics strategy was then developed by choosing what we felt were the best principles of each that would work for us and applying them in our work processes in both the factory and the office environments. That was very important for us because while it was common practice to root out waste in the factory, we were one of the first, and I think very early, to recognize the need to eliminate waste throughout our enterprise in non-factory areas, ranging from engineering to finance to human resources, because they all had waste and they were all part of our cost structure. In fact, creating a lean enterprise was a top priority for our organization. And looking back, I can say this definitively, I've said it in many environments, there is no single initiative that I have pioneered and pushed in the almost 11 years I've been at Rockwell Collins that has been more important or contributed more to the success of our company than lean electronics. And I will try to define how that's happened through the balance of my presentation. So I'm going to describe in this presentation 3 important ways out of the many that I could cite that our lean journey has contributed to that success. First thing, I'll talk about lean as a catalyst for efficiency in operating environments. Second, I'll describe how we've applied lean to innovation and our creative processes. And third, and I think it's most focused to this theme of this conference, I'm going to talk about the role of leadership in this transition. So let me start where we first began, using lean as a catalyst for change and the subsequent evolution of lean throughout our company. We began our lean journey in 1998 to find a way to focus our organization on meeting those customer expectations that I just described. We started off by just learning what it was. We read the books, we watched the movies, we did what all of you have done, and it took us about a year just to figure out what it was, how to speak it, and what the basic concepts were.
Let me pause for a moment to tell you about our sponsor, Creative Safety Supply. Creative Safety Supply is a great resource for free guides, infographics, and continuous improvement tools. I recommend starting with their 5S guide. It includes breakdowns of the 5 pillars, ways to begin implementing 5S, and even organization tips and color charts. From red tags to floor markings, it's all there. Download it for free at creativesafetysupply.com/5S.
Like so many others before us, we then rolled out a number of lean tools and techniques like 5S's and our version of kaizen events that we call radical process improvements, or RPIs. These were 5-day workshops, like I'm sure many of you are familiar with, that focused on immediate implementation and tangible benefits. Many of the early RPIs that we decided to do were conducted at our small Decorah, Iowa facility. It's about 300 people up there. And we chose that facility because we get our arms around it. We wanted to demonstrate early success that then we could show off and showcase to the rest of the organization and the many doubtful employees that this thing was going to work any better than all the other things they had seen. At Decorah, every employee at that plant participated in improvement workshops, which spanned a period of 7 months to do this. And as a result, we did show that we could demonstrate great success in a number of vital areas. For example, we saw in those 7 months a 22% increase in productivity, a 46% reduction in inventory, a 43% average cycle time reduction, a 21% reduction in floor space, and a 37% reduction in defects. Now, I know you're all sitting back there and saying, I've heard dozens and dozens of lean speeches, and is this guy going to get up and rip off a bunch of percentage increases for discrete events to demonstrate how smart he is? No, I'm not. In fact, that's the last time you will hear me talk about discrete events with discrete savings, because you'll see in a minute why. And then we use that location as an example to demonstrate that in a fairly short period of time, we could deliver better results using these lean tools. At the same time we were doing this, we set out to educate our workforce, including a number of training opportunities, and establish our certification program, kind of like black belt, green belt, those things you've seen done around there. We changed the names. But this was done to promote people to do it. We could have accountability and recognize and reward people for having taken the effort to learn. And that was useful for us. And it wasn't long before we, in fact, saw a proliferation of lean events. And over the course of about 3 years, when we started in 1998, we went from 28 lean events in fiscal year 98 to 210 lean events in 99, and then all the way up to 600 events in the year 2000, and we thought, boy, we're after it now. But it was about the year 2000, almost 3 years into the journey, that we had the next aha moment. We recognized that completing independent lean events in several areas didn't necessarily change the dynamics of our business, despite what we thought it said when we read all the books. That's when we knew that something was required on a grander scale, and we moved to identify our core processes of the business and began to think about how to optimize those core processes. So we implemented something that we called Core Process Optimization, or CPO, a structured approach to analyze each of our major business and operational processes at a macro level. We saw core process optimization as a way to apply lean electronics to our enterprise as a total integrated value stream that involved not only our employees, but our suppliers and our customers as well. That value stream started with our strategy to meet customer needs and included steps to secure an order, then the steps needed to design and develop the product or solution, and finally, the ability to build, deliver, and service that when it's out in the field. And it ended only when we could measure some way that our customers, in fact, were satisfied. We had 5 CPO teams at Rockwell Collins spanning a period of 2 years to focus on the improvements at each of the core processes I talked about.
He went through and shared the number of events happening, 28, 210, 600. I remember some early events I was involved in, like a 5S event, probably 1999, 2000 timeframe. And again, we had a lot of isolated events that people were trying to do. Oh, let's do an event over here, an event over here. But I think what was really neat to hear him talk about the need to tie it all together, not these isolated projects and events. I think there was a lot of discussion that these were just check the box. What can I do over here? Let's clear out the office supplies. And there's value to that, but it wasn't really business critical or optimizing the whole value stream. And so the core process optimization efforts, I was heavily involved in some of the build part of it and a little bit on the service and support. Those initiatives were trying to look at big segments of the entire value stream, from a customer showing interest in a product to all the way till the end of life, which could be 10, 20, 40 years later. These airline products last forever, and they try to keep them going because the aircraft is lasting a long time. So you can't really map that out and look at that flow. So they broke it up into these 5 segments. Around this time is when we started to push more on Six Sigma. And I think that was always confusing to me why Six Sigma wasn't part of the initial lean effort. I think now looking back, that was the right choice, is to focus a lot on lean. I think they said that there was an intent at some point to bring in Six Sigma, but there wasn't really much details behind it. My group that I was part of put together a green belt program and started to look at test data and study patterns in the data, look for trends, look for problems with spec limits, look for issues with customer specifications, look at tracking data in our process, things like that. So I got involved with helping the factories collect data that was either done manually with a piece of paper, trying to get that converted electronically. So I built web pages and web forms that would dump into a database, and then I'd tie it to our SPC program that would then display so you could see the trends and patterns in those results. He also mentioned the pilot project with the Decorah facility. So I know they did a lot of projects there. I believe that is the one he actually went up and participated in a week-long rapid process improvement event or kaizen event. And maybe he'll talk about that later. So I hope you're enjoying this podcast. Look for part 3, 4, maybe part 5 a little bit later. I'm a little buried in some work right now, but hope to get those up later this month and into July sometime. Thanks for listening.
LeanSixSigmaDefinition.com has a list of glossary items about popular process improvement terms, along with the history of Lean and Six Sigma methods, and key influencers like Dr. Edward Stemming, Henry Ford, Taiichi Ono, Shigeo Shingo, and many more. You can also learn how to access affordable Lean and Six Sigma training and certification. Visit LeanSixSigmaDefinition.com.